found a note hidden in my boyfriend's cabinet. It was from his ex. It said, "Dear Steve's future girlfriend, he will not clean, he will not listen, he will make everything feel like your fault. I'm leaving him. I suggest you do the same." I showed him. He ripped it up and called her crazy. My boyfriend Steve and I have been together for 2 years and have been living together for 8 months. I was cleaning our apartment when I found a note in the back of a cabinet. For context, I'll copy it below. "Dear Steve's future girlfriend, I know it's you reading this because he'd never clean back here. I'm putting this here because I'm leaving him soon and want to warn you about him. 1. He will not clean. 2. He will not listen. 3. He will make everything feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault. He's just an incompetent man. I'm leaving him. I suggest you do the same. Best wishes, Natalia." I read the note and brought it to show him and hear his response. He immediately ripped it up and said not to listen to it, that she was crazy and untrustworthy. I told him that not finding the note in 5 years was a red flag because it meant he had never cleaned back there, and he had been cleaning less and less since I moved in. He told me that it wasn't a problem before the note. This is just his ex continuing to manipulate and ruin his life, and I was letting it work. We continued to argue along the same lines, and I eventually left to spend the night at a friend's place. Steve has been a great boyfriend so far. He gets along with my family. He has given me gifts and flowers and always tells me how much he loves me. He's not wrong that the cleaning hasn't really been brought up before. The note made me realize it had been less and less, and that we needed to have a full conversation. He texted me afterwards saying he's sorry that I felt like I had to leave, but that it's an asshole move for me to take a note over our 2-year relationship and to leave him and our pets alone. I don't know what to do or what to believe right now. I'm contemplating trying to find and reach out to Natalia. Her name in real life is pretty unique, so I think I could find her. Steve thinks I should come back home and let it go, that his past should affect our future. I feel like I could be the asshole, because everything Steve has said about Natalia does make it sound like she was manipulative and petty throughout their relationship, but I don't know what to trust. I should clarify the points about cleaning. Recently, he's been doing things less and less, and I'd say it's at like 70%, maybe 60% if he listens to me right away. It depends on the week. I have to remind him to do things like bring his plates to the sink or take out the trash, and I didn't have to before. The dishes will pile up unless I do them, to the point he's had leftover food mold on the plates. I'm not a confrontational person, so I was just asking him to fix it when it came up. The note made me reflect on it more and try to have an actual full conversation, and I will say I didn't feel listened to when I talked to him about it. I tried to use the note to start a conversation about cleaning, and he got so stuck on that I was listening to his ex instead of him, that he wouldn't listen to what I think are valid concerns. He thinks I'm letting the note have confirmation bias, so no matter what he says, I'll think he's in the wrong. I only spent one night at a friend's because I didn't feel like our conversation was going anywhere last night, and he wouldn't let me sleep until I let it go. I'm going back today. My plan is to first apologize for immediately bringing him the note without thinking of his feelings, and validate that it's hard to have an ex's message found. That being said, I've been letting the cleaning stuff get away. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to ask him repeatedly to clean. I realized that he should have cleaned the shelves during his move from his ex's place, and the fact that it hasn't been touched in 5 years is forcing me to take the note seriously. I don't want to throw away 2 years, so I'm going to ask him to come up with some clear cleaning expectations with me and designated chores. I will make it clear that cleaning is absolutely a deal-breaker for me. It's his decision on how he wants to respond. Afterward, I tried to have a calm discussion with Steve. When I apologized for confronting him with the note, he seemed to take that as an admission of guilt and refused to listen to anything else. I had come up with a list of specific instances of not cleaning, and he said I was using lists just like his manipulative ex did. So the crazy ex thing was definitely a red flag. When I realized the conversation wasn't going anywhere, he even tried to block me from leaving. That's when I knew it was done and left immediately. 2 years down the drain, but I'm glad I had the wake-up call before it was too late. I will let him cool off, and then we'll ask my brother to come with me to grab my things while he's not there. He has a strict work schedule, so I think it'll work out. I am planning on leaving a note there, but probably a little longer with the advice to not show it to him. I'm leaving it in the exact same place, so if he doesn't learn his lesson about cleaning, it'll come to haunt him. All he has to do is clean. The biggest surprise out of all of this is that I didn't reach out to Natalia. She reached out to me. Apparently, he borrowed his friend's phone to call her, screaming that she's ruining his life still. The fact that she blocked him and he still had her number memorized just further confirms he was the crazy ex, not her. Natalia found me on social media and wanted to make sure I was okay, and was especially concerned that he'd gaslight me like he tried with her. I thanked her for leaving me the note and saving me time. We scheduled coffee for Thursday afternoon. I took an online healthy relationship quiz, and the results weren't great. I realized how he was weaning me into an unhealthy relationship. For now, my friend said I can stay until I find a new place. I had emergency savings and a decent job, so I was in a privileged place during the messy breakup, and tried to feel grateful for that. He does listen to me, I think. Like when he gets me flowers, he knows my favorite. We have some hobbies in common and love to talk about them. I feel like the most he's not listened is in this situation, because he refused to get past the fact that I'm listening to his ex over him. That being said, since we moved in together, I do feel like he's putting in less effort when it comes to starting conversations or initiating quality time. I think I can be a people pleaser and tend to think things are my fault anyway, but he's never directly said, "That's your fault," when it comes to conflict. I did have an issue with his lack of cleaning and have asked him repeatedly to clean up after himself, and it hasn't really improved. I agree that I should have sat down to have this full conversation about it earlier instead of using this note to do so. I'm questioning our relationship based on his response to the note, not the note itself, as he raised his voice a bit. I also realized that not letting me go to sleep is not okay. I'm not sure what to do. I agreed that I should apologize for immediately bringing him the note and talking about cleaning instead of comforting him about someone from his past playing games. It was definitely a mistake to bring him the note right away, but doing the things I did this morning right away was not a mistake, as it allowed me to save my pets. I did not end a 2-year relationship over a note and chores. I broke up a 2-year relationship because, when I tried to come up with solutions to an unequal situation, his response was to yell and try to convince me there was no problem except me. The final straw was when he physically blocked me from leaving the house after he was screaming at me. That is not okay, and no one should stay with a man who responds to conflict like that. Natalia asked me about the pets. For context, one of the things Steve and I connected on was our love for little creatures. It's why I thought he was such a great guy, because if he could take such intricate care of his lizard, he could do the same with me. I was very wrong. He has one lizard he bought before me, and then we bought 2 frogs together. I have a snake I brought with me when I moved in. I was planning on waiting until he cooled down to go grab my things and the frogs and snake, thinking he would never hurt them. But Natalia changed my mind. She said he could get destructive when he's mad and was concerned about the safety of my little guys. I immediately knew I couldn't wait until later this week and reached out for a meeting with the landlord for early this morning. I wound up FaceTiming with Natalia last night and we had a long discussion. Natalia is a lawyer and told me that in our state, landlords are required to let me get out of the lease I signed in cases of domestic violence. She also told me that his yelling, gaslighting, and refusing to let me leave are all types of abuse. It's definitely hard for me to sit with that, but the relationship quiz helped me also realize that a bit more last night. Apparently, his constant messaging and control over what I wore and when was signs of abuse too. Anyway, this morning Natalia volunteered to come talk to the landlord with me alongside my brother. As soon as he heard the word lawyer, he was on top of it and said I could break the lease, but would still have to pay for all of August, even though I'm leaving 3 days early. I felt like that was fair. He also messaged Steve to say the apartment needed to be empty for emergency maintenance all day today so I could pack my things. Steve messaged back that he was at work all day and wouldn't be home until 6 p.m. When I got into the apartment, it was a mess. He had broken my dishes that I had brought with me on the ground and left the shards laying about. My clothes were ripped up and scattered around our room. It was disgusting and heartbreaking. He left his lizard alone, but opened the tank doors for our frogs and my snake. Luckily, the frogs were still chilling in their enclosure, but my snake had gotten loose. This made me the most mad, as she could have gotten cut on the broken plates. I feel so fortunate that she was just hiding in the closet corner, and I was able to pack her up safely in her enclosure again. All my things are packed. Natalia told me that she actually left 3 notes, one in the cabinet, one on the underside of the vacuum, and one in the crumb catcher of the toaster. While we were there, we checked to see if the notes were still there. The one on the vacuum was, but it looks like Steve did clean out the crumb catcher at least once in the past 5 years. He never told me he had already found a note in our conversations, so it caught me by surprise. Natalia and I left the vacuum note as is and replaced the cabinet one. I wasn't comfortable leaving my name on a new note, so my addition was a handout on healthy versus unhealthy relationships and a QR code to the quiz that woke me up. I'm inclined to agree, especially given he did find one but then didn't even clean the rest of the house to see if there was any more. Steve doesn't make sense to me, and seeing the state of the apartment really woke me up to the fact that I have no idea who he is. The Steve I knew would never put animals in danger, but I don't think I really ever knew Steve. I wanted people to understand how subtly abuse can start. The discussion woke me up and gave me resources to leave safely before things got worse. I also made an appointment for a therapist. I'm very lucky that my job has good insurance, so I should be able to work through this relationship, and I'm hoping to focus on boundaries and my people-pleasing habits, so I never find myself in this situation again. Natalia and I had a good laugh about people wishing we would get together. Natalia is engaged to a wonderful man who cleans, listens, and reflects. She said there's a phenomenon that when people break up with their awful ex, their soulmate can quickly follow. I'm hoping that's true. Regardless, I do think I got a good friend out of this, especially since Natalia is a snake mom too. Abuse doesn't start right away. First, there's love bombing, gifts, and pretty words. And then slowly, they test how much you'll put up with. You should never have to put up with anything, especially moldy freaking plates. I am so sorry that Steve proved all of us, including Natalia, right on how crappy he is. I just want to put this behind me. Most of the clothes were ones he bought me. I thought they were sweet gifts, but looking back on it, I'm realizing he pushed my style out for the one he prefers. He liked to dress me exactly the way he wanted, so I'm okay leaving the clothes behind. I can get new dishes and new clothes that fit me. I had my pets, and that was all that mattered. What frightened me was the idea that you could know someone well enough to build a life together and still not truly know them. I took pictures of all the damage. Natalia told me I could press charges if I wanted. She couldn't represent me due to conflict of interest, but that she'd find me someone good. I didn't want to at first. Then I realized that making a report could create a record that might help a future girlfriend be believed if something happened. Natalia saved me. I wanted to do the same. So a couple days later, I pressed charges. The police went to interview Steve and the landlord. The destroyed apartment combined with police was enough for the landlord to evict him. So basically, by destroying my things, he destroyed his life. I work as a physical therapist, and my boss was nice enough to give me a week off after it all went down. I was able to find a new place, although it's a bit more expensive. When I went back to work, Steve was parked in the parking lot. I got out my phone and started recording just in case. My lawyer said to document everything. I wanted to walk into my building where I knew there were a bunch of people, and he was farther away, so in my adrenaline, I thought I could make it without him catching up. I was wrong, and he grabbed my hand when I was about 5 feet from the door. At first, he was soft-spoken. He said he wanted to apologize, but I hadn't been responding to his calls. I said we're done and to leave me alone, and tried to get my hand free. That pissed him off, and he pulled me tighter and started yelling that I ruined his life and that I owed him. One of my coworkers came out at the commotion. He's a big guy and a lot taller than Steve, who immediately backed up. I told him to leave and not bother me again, and he left. The video of that incident, plus the security cameras from the past several days of him waiting in the parking lot when he knows my shift starts, was enough for my lawyer to get a restraining order. He's left me alone since then, took a plea deal, and he doesn't know where my new place is, so I think I'm finally in the clear. I waited until everything was settled before explaining it. I'm doing better now. I've had multiple therapy sessions. Natalia and I have hung out 3 times, and the last time Steve didn't even come up. My workplace has rallied behind me, and now I get walked by my coworker from my car to the door. I am so grateful for the support system that has rallied behind me. I wouldn't have gotten through this without it. Steve was eventually evicted. I pressed charges. I hope I never have to go through anything like that again, but if I do, I will know how to protect myself.